Alright guys, so today we are going to be taking a look at the J from Gundam narrative. So I was not really expecting this Dijeh to come out to global this early, because I believe this is actually one of the, you can say as far as release order from JP, this is one of the one that's a little bit later down the line. So yeah, it's kind of weird, honestly, for global scheduling. It's just out of sync, and then whenever they release units that are a little bit older, supposedly within the actual correct timeline, those are always going to be facing out. And I'll definitely say this DJ is definitely a good candidate to summon, actually, even for standard for global wise right now. It's one of those unit that slowly ramps up damage, and then it's going to be one of those unit that has, a lot of good critical attack value. So in terms of summoning for this unit, I don't even think is that bad of an option. So this is going to be a green close combat unit, and I think overall, if you guys do want to go for one copy just to get it, for example, and invest into your rainbow coins, I don't think it's the worst unit possible, but I'm just gonna point out some things that might kind of make this kind of balance things out in terms of, obviously there are some pros, but there's obviously some cons as well. First of all, this is a unit that is meant for land and a little bit on the water. For space, you are gonna get dock points for it, so it's definitely not recommended. But I think even though it's not in the recommended map, for example, I think it is still viable to use. I don't think there's that much of a harm anyways. I don't really personally see that much of it, so it is still safe to say to use it in space map. So I think that's definitely going to be the first thing people look at. But the second thing is this is a unit that is close combat. So I think my biggest worry when is coming to close combat unit or just raid unit in general, how consistent can they hit? So I think in terms of the investment aspect of things, like your unit enhancement, I think going for some accuracy is definitely needed, because like for these units specifically, if you're not letting hit, you are going to be missing out chances to proc those EX gauge as far as recovering them. So that's obviously going to be a problem. But overall, this unit could be pretty strong because you are dealing with critical attacks on both the EX skill effects and then on the transcendent skill, so it makes it pretty powerful. And then it also does have avenues to gain some critical rate as well, which is gonna slowly wrapped up. So that's why I do feel like this is gonna be one of those units that is kind of on the wild card aspect, because it's not something that you can outright gauge how strong it is. It really depends on the content. Long form content, this unit is probably gonna excel. Short form content, you may not be able to ramp up this damage, so it is gonna be you gotta be patient with this unit. Essentially, what I gotta say. So same thing for like Escanum, for example. I think Escanum definitely does need a little bit more time to kind of show its damage, especially once you're able to proc those critical attacks. Yeah, you see the damage ramp up for that unit specifically, and same thing goes to this one. There's definitely no exception to that, but overall a pretty solid kit. So you're getting increased beam damage on EX skill, increase a critical attack, and then transcendent skill, more accuracy, more beam damage, and then more critical attack. And then skill 1 has one of those that immediately increase the max damage by 200k. That's one of those you can say modern mechanics that they embedded into these skill 1 and skill 2, so that's actually pretty good. So this unit for sure on global is not going to phase out anytime soon. And then on dealing damage, increase critical rate by 0.46, stacking that 100 times. So this is definitely going to be a unit that needs a lot of time to stack that up. So eventually this unit is just going to be landing critical attack essentially on every hit. So, and that is a permanent stack because you don't have a timer in this one. So that is powerful. So 46% critical rate, so that's not bad, slowly gradually getting that up. So yeah, this unit is gonna be looking pretty good for sure. And then in terms of the skill 2 on dealing damage for 10 seconds, increase beam attack or beam damage by 2.9, stacking up to 12 times. So again, it's definitely going to be something you do have to build up. And in terms of these one over here, I'm not really the biggest fan because again, you just don't naturally gauge how strong this unit is. You just don't ever know. All right, you just don't. And then again, you are able to stack some critical attack as well. So there are 3 spots in this kit that can gain that. So 1, 2, and 3. So that's why, yeah, this unit is strong. Like, I don't even need to say anything else. So I will not even blame you guys if you do want to go for a copy, because I do think it's, yeah, pretty acceptable, right? Yeah, and then in terms of the weaponry, we do have the beam naginata for both the main and then the additional, and then just the standard beam rifle for the 3rd weapon. So I think eventually I will do a showcase on this unit to see how good this unit is in terms of ramping up the damage wise. I do have a copy on JP, but I don't have the pilot. I don't have Michele on JP, so I think I might have to find a substitute, and it is going to be hard to find a substitute for Michele because she is not a bad character to go for, especially pilot wise. We are stacking melee sense again. So for the first skills on green unit, you are increase a critical rate by 13%, and then for close combat on daily damage for 10 seconds, melee sense stacking up to 5 times of 24%. So that is gonna get pretty nutty, right? But then again, I don't know if you guys can I just don't know if the unit can actually do 5 attacks in a succession of 10 seconds. I think that's definitely pushing it. So I do have my doubt on whether or not this can, you know, completely be satisfied. So I think at most every 10 seconds you should be able to get 1 or 2 hits in at the most. 5 attacks seems a little bit I don't know, maybe out of the question. I don't know, since I don't have her on my JP account, it will be a little bit hard for me to just kind of gauge, right? And then on skill 2 is pretty basic. We are increasing critical rate and then stacking more critical or melee sense. Wow. So this is on landing critical hits. I mean, this unit for sure is going to be landing them. You are getting another instance of melee sense stack. So yeah, that's why you guys can see that in terms of the units, and then looking at the pilot, it makes a really cohesive bonding, especially for this one that, you know, caters towards it. A lot of avenues to gain melee sense, so that is essentially allowing the J to just hit a lot more harder. So I think actually it is a pretty good unit. Like, if you guys do want to go for it, I will not even blame you guys because it's actually pretty good. So yeah, not bad. So I think overall definitely a thumbs up for this unit. Even looking at it right now, it kind of makes me want to go for it, even though I should always wait for the limited unit. But I think for the limited unit is a problem because when they are releasing these, you know, a little bit more later standard units, I think most of them could in theory kind of power craft some of these limited unit, because as of recording of this right now, we do already know our next limited unit is gonna be the, what is it, the unicorn perfectibility, not the NTD version. And I would definitely say this one may be a better candidate than that unicorn, and given the fact that they are obviously 2 different typing. This one is a close combat while that one is a generic, but I do kind of feel like this one does have an upper advantage in a way, kind of ish. So we'll definitely see. It's definitely a pretty decent unit for sure. So once again, if you guys do go for it, I will not blame you guys at all because it's pretty good. All right, but other than that, that is going to be pretty much it for me, and I'll be catching you guys all on the next one.